Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome back. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm not going to try to talk too much.
The last question you talked about memory, right? So my question is, if all we are doing, so what's your view? Should we have an all-encompassing memory, or should it be a memoryless being? Because if we are a memoryless being, then there's no concept of future and past. There's no relation between actions and consequences. We talked about experience, that doesn't exist.
Now, how does this idea come, memoryless being?
Memory is great for survival. Memory is great for learning, but to be able to experience is, generally speaking, well, I'd say memory can be a hindrance of being able to experience things. Don't get me wrong, there's reasons why we have memory. There's for survival purposes, but to experience life, you kind of have to acknowledge that your memory is going to be restrictive of how you live life. There's a reason for it, but it's not always a good thing. So obviously, you may not want a bungee cord on, over a bridge, but it might be fun. I don't know.
You talked about chitta that has.
I said memoryless intelligence, an intelligence which is beyond memory. I did not talk about a memoryless being because if there is no memory, there is no individuality of any kind, isn't it?
So that's what the point is.
I get you.
To be an individual, memory is important, but because we have memory, all the
It is not
shortcomings.
memory is important, memory is the basis of your individual nature.
Is individualism
Yeah, I get it.
important? Like being.
See, individualism,
Sorry, real quick. The point of let me see if I can get it. It's the fact that the reason why we have so much hatred in the world is because we think of each other as individuals instead of saying that we are all each other, and that's what's kind of the point that Sadhguru is talking about. Like if we remove this type of memory, it's the fact that we can all kind of work together well. Let me just put it that way. In his last video, he explained that. I vaguely remember it. I remember ideas, not very specific things, but it's the fact that if we can remove this type of memory, we will at least reduce the conflict in the world. It said about 10%. If we have 10% using their intellect, or expanding their intellect, it'd be a much better place. Same thing with this, where we reduce the boundaries of our identities and we expand that identities to other people. We would not want to cause harm to other people.
means you are trying to make a religion out of yourself. There is no individualism. It is a privilege. Though we are part of everything here, if we don't understand this, we'll get the point when people bury us, that we are a part of everything. Right now we stand up, see, your existence here is like a pop-up on your computer screen. You pop up for 2 minutes and you go, okay? In the life of this planet, you are just a small pop-up. You'll go poop and poop, that's it. You and me, right now when we are here, we think we are this, but all this countless number of people who came before us, you think they were idiots? They were also like you and me, big people, but all topsoil now, isn't it? So anyway, we have no individuality. Individuality is an assumed thing. This is a great privilege creation has given us, though we are part of everything. We are allowed to experience life as an individual, how fantastic it is. We are greatly, grateful to this process because it allows a little bit of individuality for these few years that we are here. These years in the life of this planet is really nothing, 2 seconds they calculate something out of the billion years, whatever it's been here. So if 2-second pop-up assumes individualism, what is that? It's a privilege that we have some sense of individual experience. Otherwise, we would have no experience if there was no memory, okay? So if you dip into chitta, does my individuality completely vanish? No. When you dip into it, it gives you an experience beyond the boundaries of your individuality. Because of this, see, you are in this country, you're an Indian, but can you travel out? If you travel out, you're not an Indian anymore.
Still am.
You still are, just the same way. I'm still the same person, but I'm no more limited by the boundaries of my physiology and my psychological structure anymore. This gives me a larger sense of experience.
I picked up something. I don't know if I'm right or not. Let me know. The fact he was saying about about how we have the privilege of individualism when in reality, in the larger scheme of things, we're not. And in some sense, that made me think of the fact that we're all part of this working machine called life. That may be a harsh way to put it, but it's just that we're all part of this organism called life. And if we can see, maybe that's the reason why. Anyway, if we can see ourselves as this big organism of life, why would we want to harm each other? But if we see ourselves as, oh my gosh, wow, that makes sense. So if we see ourselves as individual, separate from life, then all we care about is ourselves. But if we see ourselves as this thing bigger than life called this organism of life, humanity, life, object, whatever it may be, we include everyone, including ourselves, and we do not want to cause harm. Well, okay. Took him to say that for me to kind of connect that. And that, I kind of struggle with that a little bit and how to explain that with his other videos, him talking about that. I kind of get it. Like, obviously, how do you expand yourself? You know, it's something that I understand what he meant, but I don't know how to understand it fully, I suppose, until that moment where he was talking about individuality as a privilege. And if we can see ourselves out of this big old cosmos, because humanity was merely a 2-second blip in the radar of the existence of, well, the universe as we know today. And if we can see ourselves as this organism called life or humanity or something greater than our individual selves, then we would not want to cause harm, because we don't see ourselves as this tiny little individual speck of life, but we see something, this grandeur thing that includes everyone, at least on Earth, at the very least Earth, you know. You don't have to include all the universe and everything, you know, one step at a time. And then you don't want to cause harm to this big thing called life, because that is you. I really went really far in that one. Let me know what you guys think about that.
Moving on to the mythology. So we know that Iliad was written by Homer, right? A blind guy. He wrote that there are 14,000 horses. But since we know that he could not have seen it for himself, we believe that there's some sort of historical, storytelling going on there. Would you say? But nowadays, all the scriptures, religious scriptures, are taken as gospel. So should we also believe that there is myth making in Ramayana, in Mahabharata, and that taking them as gospel rather than just work of literature is wrong?
I don't see anybody taking Ramayana and Mahabharata as a gospel.
There are certain factions which are…
No. They cannot, because they'll get freaked out with confusion. Because there are all kinds of people in Mahabharata, the best sort of man, the worst sort of man, in between every kind of man and woman. Is there over 100,000 characters? How can you make a gospel out of it? So you said storytelling. I don't know if you've seen the byline of Youth and Truth, not the seriousness of gospel, but the playfulness of gossip, because gossip has always been reliable. No, at any time in history, nobody went by the official version. Whatever the official version came, people asked around with their friends and relatives what happened. When 5 people said 5 different things, people learned out of their wisdom to extract some truth out of the gossip. But people always relied more on the gossip than the official version, isn't it so? It's not just today, always.
However, given that this gossip can lead to a transformation of this truth to an extent where it's lost forever, do you think that's troubling?
See, first of all, you're questioning, did it actually happen, right?
So we are saying that the same argument which you have given is the argument which is usually used these days to say that buildings which were constructed by the Mughals were actually not Mughal structures.
Okay. I get the
however,
point.
that's gossip being misinterpreted completely.
Now, say, if you come further south, people are questioning whether Rama existed or not, okay? This is just a question of poor memory. When the entire nation has been talking about it for thousands of years, now the problem is your trust in printed word is more than the spoken word, that is the whole problem. But you must understand, this is an oral culture. We always transmitted most significant things orally. You may think it's insignificant because it's not written, but anybody can write it down. People have written it down now it's a printed word. But now somebody questions, did Rama exist or not? Not in one place, in entire culture, when everybody is talking about the same story with minor variations here and there, it could not have been just made up by all the people.
So I guess his point was also by bringing in the Iliad example the same, that the war on Troy did happen, but the fact that Homer says that 14,000 horses were there is clearly not truth.
Maybe not.
Maybe Ram did exist, but other facts which are other things.
See, we are after all Indians, we invented zero. We have certain freedom in using number of zeros. We're taking liberty with that. Don't… See, whether 6,000–7,000 years ago, whether 100,000 men fought or 10,000 men fought, doesn't make a difference. The way the story is said in this country is not for its facts, but for its truth. You're trying to bring out a certain truth. The fact of it, whether 100,000 men fought, 10,000 men fought, what does it matter? You don't have to manage that war today, it's over. So the important thing is, what is there for me to learn from that, all right? If that's a question mark, we can go ahead with that.
I guess that was his point itself, that when you look at religious texts, as you would learn from…
See, don't call them religious texts, this is nation's history.
So let's say if you look at another piece of literature, you would derive learnings from it.
Literature is different, history is different. Literature can be fiction. History is written in a dialectical way so that it's always relevant for you. I'm saying 6,000 years ago, whether a man existed or not, what's my problem? Unless he has something to contribute to my life today, isn't it?
However, if history has been written and the facts of the history are not clear, then…
See, this is what I'm saying. The fact is like this. Suppose 6,000 years ago, Rama had a wife whose name was not Sita. What's my problem?
We are not questioning whether the name was…
Not only the name, I'm saying, okay, he was not… his father's name was not that, it was something else. He was somebody else. What does it matter
We
to
are
me?
even questioning the sequence of events over here.
You can.
How they…
See, sequence of events also you can question, but what I'm asking is, a 6,000-year-old drama, if it got little mixed up, it is not your problem. The problem is just this, is there something for us to get from that?
Yes, he's given up on it. I think I understand. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the way he pokes and prods, and I guess it's very difficult for him to try to ask the question in a way to get the answer. I have this issue too sometimes with my boss. I'm like, I'm trying to find a way to say it to him where he can give me the right answer so I can be, okay, I get it now. But I struggle with it sometimes and I just have to accept it, and I think that's what it's doing here. Is Sadhguru trying to say that the events doesn't have to happen exactly the way it was told in the books? It's the mere fact that a lot of the events occurred and are true. Now, whether it happened that way or not is irrelevant. It's the fact that we need to learn the lessons, whether they're stories or his stories. Stories or history, sorry. Whether they're stories or history, we need to learn about the general principle and ideas behind the stories and history so that we don't repeat them. Now, whether there's one guy or two guys or three women or 50 billion guys or 50 billion monkeys or 50 billion elephants or whatever, it's irrelevant. The main thing to learn is the lessons to be learned of what happens during those events. Is that what Sadhguru is trying to point out? I think what he's trying to point out is the fact that in order for us to say that these are facts or truths, they need to be 100% accurate, which I don't necessarily disagree, but at the same time, it's very difficult to, especially things in the past. One argument that I heard is, you know, how Elvis died, which is a very recent thing to say. There's been theories about like he died here, there, but yet, we know it's so recent, but how do we not know without a shadow of a doubt of the fact that this is how he died, but there's still people out there saying he died other ways. So no matter what, throughout even maybe potentially in modern times, it can get skewed a little bit. Hopefully that gets better, but I think that's a lot of people with conspiracy theories. But it's just the ideas is what we need to follow up. The ideas that we need to learn, and not necessarily to find out whether it's one guy guarding the door or two guys guarding the door, or whether one of them went to go took a poop or a pee. We don't need to know the fact that they did one or the other, kind of deal. But at the same time, it would be nice to know if that guy pooped or peed, because we need to write down for historical fact, truth, just to be accurate. But again, the idea behind the lesson that needs to be learned is the most important thing.
That's all the thing is. Now, why we are worshipping Rama in this country is, he's not a super success. He's a serial disaster, if you look at it. Yes. Even today is having real estate issues, that's why you brought this up. But it is not today alone. It's not today alone. Right from the beginning of his life, he's in trouble and trouble and trouble and trouble. See, he's rightfully a king. He's coronated at the age of 17 or 18. He marries a princess, and within 1 or 2 years, he's sent to the forest. They didn't go to the jungle for picnic. As some of the television serials are showing Rama, Sita doing all that. No, it is like, throwing him out of the kingdom from his power and everything. That itself would have shattered a man, but he settled down there.
But Rama is also an insecure person who, when Sita came back to him, first she sat through fire.
We will come there, don't jump. First let's kidnap her, no. See, now you're changing now you're changing the sequence of things. First let's kidnap her, all right? Now the Sri Lankan people come and kidnap his wife and go away. After all, he is a king. If somebody steals his wife and takes her away some 3,000 kilometers down south, there's no GPS to even find out where is Sri Lanka, all right? At a time like that, being a king, he could have found a local solution. There would be any number of women to marry the men, he's a king. But he goes in search of her, not with a big army, just him and his brother, like ordinary people. If a man has to walk 3,000 kilometers down south, not knowing where she is, whether she is alive or dead or what's happened, then she must mean so much to him, yes or no? Otherwise, why would a man walk that distance? Now, he goes there, he forms a Tamil army, don't forget this. And then there is a fight, kills hundreds of people, burns down a beautiful city, gets back his wife, comes and settles down. Before this, I will tell you, he goes for a year of penance in Himalayas. His brother asks, "Are you crazy? This man stole your wife and now you're doing penance for his death." He said he had 10 basic qualities, Ravana. Killing those 9, which were horrendous qualities, no penance for me, no repentance for that. But he was also a great devotee and I killed that also. So 1 year of penance the man goes for. This is not a… And then he settles down and his wife is pregnant. You must understand, for a king, his wife is pregnant means it's not just about a child, it's a progeny for his empire and there are many things involved. No sonogram, so he doesn't know whether it's a girl or a boy or boys or girls or anything. But once again a political situation evolves where he has to send his wife to the forest, which you are saying is insecurity.
Not that part. So we can even begin from the first point in which, after he rescues Sita, Sita has to sit through a fire to prove that she is pure.
For whom?
So that other people will accept her. Because Rama cared about how people saw him. Rama, when he came back, a random dhobi in your kingdom said that, "Sita, I am not like Ram who will keep a woman in my house who might have a child which is not mine." For this, Rama sends away Sita again to the forest.
That is the insecurity you're talking about.
At any point, Rama wanted his people to love him.
No, let's come to this properly. Today in our country, there are many kinds of things. I'm asking you, do you want a leader for this nation who puts the people of this nation above his own family and his personal love? I'm asking you. Or do you want a Dhritarashtra, at any cost my son? You want a man who puts the citizens of this country above his family. This is not just another woman for him. He went and fought a battle for her, walked 3,000 kilometers. This is not just another woman. He is living for her, but still he sends her back to the jungle when she's pregnant, knowing fully well that it could be his future for this kingdom. And he's putting… See, it is not just about a dhobi, this is what your mistake… you're taking these things literally. When a dhobi said, what it is being said is ordinary people are talking like this. Ordinary people have no trust in the king, that he's just brought some woman from somewhere and he's made her our queen, because queen is seen as a mother to the nation. We don't want such a woman as our mother, that's what they're saying. She went and lived with some man somewhere. This is what the people of those times are saying. So if the king says, I don't care what you think, I love my wife and keep her, that would be not a good king, not a good administrator. So he's putting his people above somebody that he loves very, very dearly, and she's pregnant. It's not a small thing for him, it means a world. But still, he sends her to the jungle. This should be bowed down to, this is why we bow down to the man. No? Please say it. No.
So, interesting question here. Perhaps maybe this is an exception because he's a king, but would you accept a person who would put other people's thoughts and feelings above that of their loved ones? Or would you rather have someone who puts their loved ones above other people's thoughts and feelings? But again, this is a bit of a different scenario. Obviously, I think someone's more respectable to put their loved ones above the thoughts and feelings of others, but that's of normal people. But for a king is very much kind of like a representative, and he must be shown to be strong to his people. I definitely I want to listen to that story now. I want to see… is he right with the is he getting an interpretation of the story correct? I didn't even know that she had to go through certain things either. I gotta hear that story.
No, why? He has something to say, please.
So there are different types of responsibilities of you as a person. As a king, there are different responsibilities, and as a human, as a family member, you have different responsibilities. Now you can't just throw away your wife and send her to a jungle. It's like just objectifying her. It's not treating her like another human who's pregnant, who will need different things, and have promised her different things.
Well, then you're against Gautam Buddha, you're against Rama, everybody. But you need to understand this in the right context, that is, if this woman didn't mean anything to her, he wouldn't have traveled down to Sri Lanka, fought a battle and brought her back, isn't it?
It was his pride about what…
How can you? His pride he could have got 100 wives around him if he wished, but he went for this person who means so much to him.
Moving on…
No, you must see the words that he's uttered. You must see the words he uttered about Sita, what she means to him, how he cried to Lakshmana and what he said.
Actions are way more important.
Why are you reading all these evil intentions in his mind that he did not express anywhere? He did not express…
Without words, we can say anything.
See, as far as you are concerned, you know only what you read. You don't know anything else about his life, neither me nor you, all right?
Perfect.
So, from what you read, nowhere does it say that he was insecure. Nowhere does it say he went for his pride.
Nowhere does it say that…
No, everywhere it says very clearly, let me tell you, the reason why he is worshipped today is, though life threw disasters after disasters at him, the man never became resentful, never became hateful, never became angry. He did not become a recluse either. He went about fulfilling every duty that he has to do with a personal pain and grief that he is carrying all his life. The man went about doing the best he can do for his praja of the day. If this is being accused of being as pride and this…
So this is the part where I think he talks about how where the facts of the story may be not well translated, may have been lost in translation, but the idea of the story is what is more meaningful. That this person, whether he did it for pride, for country, or for whatever, went through all this trouble to do his duty, to not complain, to do his duty, dharma perhaps, and to, well, that's about it really, to do his duty. He didn't complain, he didn't like, oh, I give up, or it's like, oh, this is too hard, or anything like that. He did his duty. And I think that's the idea of the story that Sadhguru is trying to present. I mean, again, I don't know the story itself. I'm making a lot of assumptions here, so let me know if I'm wrong or right. And he's trying to get the I guess the thoughts of ideas behind the actions of this person. Sure, he may have done it because of his pride and the pride of the country. You know, you look at was it Helen of Troy, where they went to war because Helen ran away to Troy, and the Spartan king, I believe it is, got upset, and they did the Trojan War. Could have that been the same scenario? I don't know. Again, I don't know the story, but I think he's trying to make it out that way, where, you know, one man's pride got hurt, so he went to go get her back. Now, I don't know about the pregnancy thing. He didn't really finish it out, but it almost made it seem like, well, he doesn't know if that's his baby or not. And made it seem like maybe the woman ran away and he came to pick her up from Sri Lanka. I'm not sure. It's almost sounding like a Helen of Troy type story, where, you know. But anyways, I definitely want to listen to it. I want to hear it out and have my own, at least have an understanding of it.
There were strong reactions to that question, but I think that's a nice segue to the next one, which is once…
Why do you say it's a reaction?
At least…
See,
You had once said that people should not react to injustice, but this country has been based on civil disobedience movement. Movements like anti…
Did I say they should not react to injustice?
There was a quote of you…
Like what?
Said that people should not…
Why don't you just read the quote instead of paraphrasing like this? Maybe you
The
didn't…
quote was that
Huh?
we should not react to injustice.
Yes.
This is one of the…
Yes. But I did not say you should not respond sensibly.
We want to know why or what
Yes.
the context behind…
Because the context is, I am differentiating between human response and human reaction. If I react, I will only cause one more injustice. Right now, what I think is injustice, I will feel angry and I will do one more injustice. But if I see this injustice is happening and respond to the best of my intelligence and my capability, there could be a solution.
So you have defined reaction.
Yes, reaction and response I have clearly defined all along. Is it not important that you respond consciously rather than reacting violently?
We completely agree with this, by the way.
Right?
And in America, it's a lot of reactions, not enough. There's so much reactions, not enough responses. Mostly reactions, and that's kind of interesting that he talks about that. It's kind of, again, going on in America too, even of recent times. Don't get me wrong, like throughout the entirety of human history, there's a lot of reactions and a lot of civil disobedience. And my gosh, we hope that we can get past this point, but I don't know if we can ever, even 20 years down in the future, or 50 years down in the future, maybe that's just something that's within human nature, you know. But yeah, we definitely need less reactions and more responses. And but you know, we are very much acting on our emotions, and our emotions are very reactive and not responsive.
So…
I'm glad your serious face is gone, you're laughing, now we can talk.
So, this was you quoted somewhere that religions have nothing to do with the lynchings that have been going on around. But if we see the facts, members of a particular minority community are being targeted by the perpetrators who identify themselves with another religious community. And if these are the facts, then how can you say that religions are not connected to the lynchings?
I think perhaps what Sadhguru is trying to say. I like trying to predict. I'm mostly wrong anyway, but I like to see how stupid I am. Most religions probably do not want violence. It's probably what I was going to say. Most religions, but you do have extreme religions who will perpetuate violence, who will doing these things, but they are not they're not the message of religion. They're the message of their own religion, which is a very minute amount of the group, while the majority of the religion tends to be very peaceful.
See, probably you're just going by the television reports. Just go a little further into the…
You read your book as well. So in your book, you say…
In book I'm talking about lynchings?
Yeah, so in your book you have mentioned that you went to a village and a policeman was your friend, and you mentioned that…
No, I will tell you the incident properly, you don't water this down. I'll tell you that incident properly. Will you give me 2 minutes? All right? See, I was living in a remote part of Karnataka. Karnataka is generally a docile, peaceful place. It's not a very activist kind or violent kind, there's no religious frictions happening, it's very docile people. One day I just ride down into the village and a big crowd, and what is it? I just park and go and see, they're beating one person like you can't imagine, with all kinds of things, whatever they get. I tried to stop, they just brushed me aside and said, you don't get into this. As I saw, within 2-3 minutes, the man died. Don't know who he is. Those days in the villages, nobody wore trousers, normally they wear either shorts or dhotis and things like that. This guy had trousers and some kind of dirty-looking shirt. And somebody thought he's a child lifter. Right there, they killed him and they dug a hole right outside the village where everybody can see, and they buried him right there because nobody has any fear that this is going to be a murder, this is going to be pursued. There is no such thing, they think it's their right to do that. I was appalled. Till then I had never faced a situation like that in my life. I was just 22, 23. So I rode down to the police station, which was just about 8 or 9 kilometers from there. This policeman or this sub-inspector was my senior in college, so I knew him. So I went to him and I just saw this, you have to come and do something. He said, you do not get into this thing. I said, what? They killed a man, I can show you where he is buried. This body is right there. Nothing. I tried to talk to the local MLA. He said, please, you don't get into this. When I really looked at it, then it happened after 3-4 days. Late night around 1:30, I'm coming from Mysore city to my farm. On a remote road, it's a very remote place, it's in the hills. I ride in, young people are standing there with fires burning, with sticks and rods and everything. Oh, they shout, the motorcycle comes means. If you don't identify yourself, you would be killed too, right there, without a question. Because the rumor has gone around, somebody is doing child lifting, there's a local dam coming up, they're sacrificing many children. Nobody knows where the hell is the dam, nobody knows if anybody ever lost a child in the region, but just this rumor goes around. Then when I really look at it, I saw another one like this which happened for some stealing that happened, another one where he was beaten but he did not die. When you really look at it, every year in this country, over 40,000 children go missing. So there is a paranoia in the villages. Especially girl children who go missing, they just never found, never ever found. So tomorrow if my child disappears, what do? Hold an FIR and sit there and pray, is it? So first, their thing is to react in such a way, if my child is stolen, is it an injustice to me? Hello? And never to find the child, again not knowing what happened, whether they're alive or dead. If they die in front of you, it's okay. But they just disappear and you don't know whether they're alive or dead, you know what the parents go through? So there is a paranoia about this. The same thing happens if somebody steals any animal or if they cut a tree in their…
This is what happens when you use gossip as your source of information.
You're just misinterpreting the whole thing. Please, I have to say this.
Problem is that I mean, with him, you have the privilege of modern technology and modern everything. When you look at villagers and stuff who don't have all this kind of equipment, gossip is the only thing they have. And gossip doesn't necessarily mean it's false. It could be 100% true. And now I don't know the definition of gossip, but just generally speaking, people speak what they see, what their truth is. Now, whether that's the actual truth or not, they don't know, so they can only speak what they see and what they know, and that's about it. I mean, it'd be nice if they had satellite cameras and all that. Then it's like, oh yeah, they're speaking false. The camera was looking at it that entire time. You can pull it up if you want, but no, the only thing they have is eyes, ears, and nose and mouth to see, hear, smell, and talk about what happened. You know, and don't get me wrong, gossip obviously can go the wrong way, depending on the culture and how the village kind of works. You know, if gossip just goes out of hand all the time in the village, and it's kind of part of the culture, you hear some certain groups of people that just talks a lot. but yeah, I mean, yeah, it sucks that gossip is what they have, but that's the only thing they have. And you know, they're not all CSI agents or agents that know how to, you know, do brushes. Like, oh, there's the footprint, you know. This is all modern technology. Even just brushing a footprint or fingerprint, it's all modern tech stuff. Not even everyday people who live in the modern time with all the modern technology know how to do that. You're talking about a village somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you know, who probably, I don't know if they have cell phones or not, or what modern technology they have, you know, let alone them knowing how to do CSI or criminal investigation type stuff. I mean, I went a little far there.
Where is gossip as a… You think the whole script, all the literature or whatever the history that we are talking about is all gossip?
No, I do not.
Going back to the point.
No, why are we referring to that now? You're referring to Ramayana as just gossip?
I am not referring to that same point. You only said that there was a rumor going around that there was a…
Obviously, see, you're calling it gossip, but I'm telling you, this is fear. This is fear of a population who are not protected by any law except their own stuff. They are on their own. Don't think some police force will come in a helicopter and save your children. There is no such arrangement. When there is no arrangement like that, they make their own crude arrangements, unfortunately. I have seen, somebody says one cow is stolen, immediately 10-15 boys get on the bicycles and ride in different directions. 30-40 kilometers if they catch the guy, that's the end of him, right there. Not because cow is religion, simply because it's economy. With 2 cows, I'm making my life. If you steal my cow, my children will go hungry tomorrow morning. So they will fight. So this is because the law has not spread itself to every inch of geography on this land, you must understand this. Even today in a big city, I'm telling you, if something happens to you, if you want to file a complaint, you will have to take the local MLA, somebody else, a businessman who knows somebody. By yourself you can't file, this is the reality. Somebody who has no basis in his life.
Yeah, again, that's the thing that he misses, the fact that he literally just said, this is a village out in the mountains in the middle of nowhere. Even in the United States, people think United States is like all modern technology. No! I mean, for the most part, maybe, I don't know. You go to the Middle East, that's like really country stuff. And even then, even in freaking modern day society and in big cities, there are still people who don't live with modern essentials and stuff. But I'm getting way off basis there. But there's not every part of the United States has, like, you know, 4G or 5G or whatever. No, there's still very much deserts and empty spaces in America. And, you know, law is not even out there where people… The reason why people have guns out there is because they have to protect themselves, because it takes 30 minutes for law enforcement to get to you because you're living out in the middle of nowhere. And you're looking at the freaking… Yeah. That's the thing that I guess he doesn't… That's the thing that most people who live in metropolitan areas and big cities do not understand. They think the way they see the world around them is the way it is everywhere, but it's not. I mean, that's the problem for most people, honestly. And that's a problem that I have somewhat, but I do try to always understand that it's not always the case. Don't get me wrong, but there are some severities of that. And generally speaking, people who live in big cities are very modernized. This is the reason why I say I don't think it's just a Western thing. It's a modernized area or city that they start to think that everywhere is like this for the most part.
So does this imply mob justice is valid?
Arey, how are you saying these things? Do I look like a lyncher for you? Then why are you asking that question? I'm telling you, see, this is the problem. The problem is we don't want to understand the reality and the pain of the people. We just want to make a judgment on them. I'm saying, unfortunately, nobody has provided them a way. So they're doing their own things. When mob enforces something, this is the unfortunate way it will happen. Do we want this to happen? Absolutely no. But do we have means to stop it right now?
No.
Till you make law available to everybody and quick justice to everybody, I'm telling you, people will do their own things. If you think they should not do, because you're living in the safe, enclosure of a wonderful institution, you don't understand what it is in a village. When my child goes missing, what do I do? What do I do? Where do I go?
There's no law enforcement.
You don't know. I've seen people, women crying and beating their breasts and walking around because their children are missing. They don't know where they've gone. Finished.
Can I speak?
Yes, sir.
So, you have talked in general about the lynchings that have been happening, and we don't deny that. They have been happening throughout the history, they have been happening in this country, and our inability to bring them to the judiciary is the cause. But I'm talking about a specific type
I got
of
it.
lynchings
I got that.
which have increased recently and which are facts that they have been increasing recently. And it's not about my cow getting stepped, it's about there is a cow somewhere out there, it's been killed, and now I have to lynch for that. There is a difference in mentality and it has not been seen before.
Definitely there is. It's not that it's not been seen before. It's right now being reported because this is one of the political strategies that's happening in the country.
It's not also about political strategy. There are many incidences
No,
which are
but-
not being reported by media but are still happening, and there's research being going on about that. So whatever we found out about the lynching are just like few percentage of that.
It's a very small percentage, what you found out. Till now, in these 4 years, because basically this is focused towards this particular government, all right? So in these 4 years, 42 lynchings have been reported. Out of these, 12 lynchings are supposed to be more, religious basis is there to it, 12 of them, out of 42. But over 3.5 to 4 million bovine animals in this country are stolen every year. And they're smuggled across both the borders. Now western border has become very tight because of security issues, largely it's going through the eastern border. Who is losing these 4 million cows? You must see this. Whose economy is ruined? Somebody's economy is ruined, his family economy is ruined, isn't it? Because animals went away. Over 3.5 to 4 million animals are stolen in the country every year. And anyway, for your information, every year, in 4 years, 42 lynchings have happened, 12 of them have a religious connotation to it for sure, there's no question.
Those are just reported.
That is reported. But what is not reported is every year, over 100 uniformed men, including BSF soldiers, are lynched and killed by the cattle smugglers.
That's totally a different issue. Let's not bring that into it. That's totally a different issue.
No, please, why is it is connected, right?
So this is not
No,
just about…
please, let us… Why? Just because somebody wears a uniform, is he supposed to die?
I'm just saying, let's not connect these two issues.
No,
One is religious, one is security.
I want you to understand, when there is a large-scale crime going on, when there's a large-scale crime going on, 4 million animals means on this side of the border, they're approximately 10 to 15,000 rupees. Across the border, they're between 30 to 50,000 rupees. I want you to calculate the numbers, you're the business guys, all right? I won't get the numbers right, please get me the numbers.
I totally agree with you.
So when…
Have been happening.
Please understand this, these cows don't fly. They have to be walked, all right? These cows, these animals have to be walked or transported in trucks. Only small amount is transported in trucks, rest of them are walked in the nights, okay? From across the country, 4 million animals. When such a large-scale crime is happening, you think there will be no reaction at all? When nobody is caught?
Why change now? Why now?
Huh?
Why recent few years?
See, it is not now, it is only reported now, it's always been happening, I'm telling you. They have reported only 42 lynchings. I will, I am on camera, but I'm telling you, from my experience of rural India, I would say anywhere between 200 to 500 lynchings have happened in these 4 years. And similar numbers or much bigger numbers have happened in the past. Because unfortunately, this is how things are enforced in this country. You have to change it means you have to create an enforcement mechanism that's available to everybody. In United States, they say an average time in which a police car arrives is 3 minutes and 20 seconds, even if it's in Montana.
Whoa! No! I heard 15 minutes. Hold on, I'm gonna correct you on that one. Now, maybe in metropolitan area, but it's in Montana, which is a pretty spread out area. I heard 15 minutes. Where's that 3 minutes and 20 seconds coming from? Hold on, hold on. Let me fact check that. Hold on. Average time for police, average time for cop. Response. What is the average police response time in the United States? Great. Oh, great. They don't give the answers right on top. Many times. Anyway, I heard maintain a call. One call's range from 5. I guess it varies. Obviously, the closer you are to the cops, the quicker they can respond to. Okay, across the city, Detroit police arrival time is about 14.5 minutes for urgent priority 1 calls, such as an active shooter, robberies, or assault. About 15 minutes. But that is Detroit, which is a pretty large city, though. Again, it varies, but I'm wondering if the national average time is about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. Dang, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Where are you living at, Sadhguru?
Average time. In New York City, they will arrive within 30-40 seconds, armed men, not just handguns. If you open their boot, they got a shotgun, they got rifles, they got works. Now, a lathi-wielding, cycle-ridden policeman comes, you think he can handle these 10-15 youth or 100 youth who are indulging in this violence? He is not capable of handling. So can we create a nation where law can be enforced, or are we just going on accusing each other, you did it, I did it, I did it, you did it? What's the point? If you want to create a law-abiding nation, the instruments of law should be strengthened. We're talking about police reforms for 25 years, where the hell are they?
Exactly, I think we were also thinking at the same time.
So to wrap up the argument here, I'll be wrapping up your argument. So what you're suggesting is that mass hysteria is pretty common, has already existed, mostly because of…
You can give names sitting in the comfort of your well-to-do homes, you can give these names, it's mass hysteria. Tell me, any of you ladies, I'm asking you, suppose your child is stolen and you know that you may never find, how will you react? You will go wild, all right? Don't call it mass hysteria, this, that. This is absence of law enforcement.
We are also agreeing with that it is strong…
But why are you calling it mass hysteria as if it's some kind of an ailment?
I mean, this is caused because people don't have enough information, or they believe in rumors, or because…
See, there are rumors, but why are you ignoring? Every year, 40,000 children are stolen. It's not a rumor, it's a fact. For nearly 4 million cattle are stolen, it's not a rumor, it's a fact.
Also, legal enforcement needs to be strengthened. The fact that these things
That is
happen
all.
is
That's all.
problematic.
That is all I'm saying, but you pick up one sentence and you say supporting lynching, how can you say that? This looks like… I am not supporting lynching.
Again, Sadhguru, one important thing is, these are things which we came across, which we felt that…
You can ask me, there is no problem asking any question.
We wanted to know what was the context
This
behind
is the
these
context,
statements.
all right.
Because as you pointed out, people should not react to injustice, had a very different context.
They must respond sensibly. In a conscious manner, human being means one significant aspect of who we are is, see, we do the same things animals do. We are born, they are born, we eat, they reproduce, we sleep, they sleep, we die, they die. We do the same things. Only difference is we can do these things consciously. If we give up that one consciously acting, we are just one more creature on this planet. So I was making the distinction, if you react, you will just express your animal nature in some way. So this whole lynching business is just a reaction. But at the same time, people are helpless, they have no other way. There is no other way. You can go and file an FIR and hold this paper in your hand. You will not see anything happening in a village.
You have said…
Okay. I was laughing there because that's literally what I was thinking. I was going to kind of close out this video. No more video, I'm going to be talking now. It's the fact that it's not necessarily they don't understand, somehow it's not clicking for them too, for this ask. I think because they agree with what he said, but yet they're still asking the question. So something's not clicking there. Like how whenever I react to some of these videos, well, most of these videos, a lot of it's not clicking quite. That's the reason why I try to ask questions. I try to throw out my thoughts out there, because you can correct me where I'm wrong, or you can elaborate on my thoughts or their thoughts and whatever has been said. There's been many times where I read it, it's like it clicks, it finally clicks in my head. And it's the sheer fact that, you know, they agree that law enforcement's not everywhere, yes. They agree that lynchings is happening, which is kind of really strange, because that's kind of like, not necessarily a rumor in the United States, but I wouldn't doubt that it may happen in a lot of areas, but you don't really hear it in the news. And there were some incidents recently where they think it's a lynching, but it turned out not to be. But anyways, it's really terrible. I completely understand where Sadhguru is coming from. I kind of understand where the three gentlemen there were asking. They understand that it's not available everywhere, law enforcement and the law itself, but somehow it's not clicking in their minds. I mean, they say mass hysteria. That's really not the right word for it. It's what Sadhguru said a little bit earlier, which I was going to reference, is the fact they're reacting, they're not responding in a sense, because they have no tools to respond. Their best ability is to react in some sense. It's kind of how when we developed over time, you know, especially with the lack of tools that we have, the only thing we can do, the only tools we have is to react. And that's the sad truth of the matter in a lot of places. You know, and that's why I was thinking, like, you know, we have the luxury of living in a very developed area. And this is the thing that I continue to push, instead of saying Western, because, you know, it's not just Western, it's developed areas. I'm starting to see that they have like this blind, like the horses, you know? Oh, sorry. They have this blind, like they can only see what they see in front of them, and can't see like all the other different types of situations or cultures that other people live in. They think that this is the only thing that they see in the entire world. It's like, yep, this is pretty good. This should be everywhere. Why are these other people not living like the way we are? You know, kind of deal. But it seems like they understand that there are situations like that, but somehow, like I said, it's not clicking for them that law is not available everywhere. Yeah, anyways, I think Sadhguru essentially just said everything I wanted to say at the very end there in a much better manner than I did. So anyway, this is part 2, the end of Sadhguru at Sadhguru at IIM. Part 2 of this video is over with. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.